QUF, formerly Queensland United Foods, was formed by a merger in 1960 between the Queensland Peters Ice Cream Companies and Paul's. Peters was formed in 1923 and Paul's in 1933. Quite simply, the company changed its name to QUF because it was no longer purely a food company. It had all these other industries in which it was involved, and some of them were quite major players in those industries, and therefore it wanted to be known as a wider group than just a food company. The company's strength was the great attention that it paid to its workforce at all levels, and it is very important to recognise that. Paul's introduced superannuation in the 1940s, long before it was in any way common. They also made a great effort to assist their staff to be trained, to get the necessary dairy technology qualifications, and that gave us a lot of our strength and our competence. And I think we also had a special scheme to issue shares to employees on a delayed payment basis, so that they got the shares and then the dividends paid the balance of the share price off.
One of the interesting things at QUF was that for wages employees we had a closed shop. You couldn't get a job as a wage employee at QUF unless you joined a union. It was better to have all the people in the union so there's no arguments, no union pressure for recruitment, and in fact that was the rule.
When Coles put Sandhurst on the market, and we were able to buy it in anticipation of deregulation, and we started with Sandhurst, and because in getting into Victoria we were getting into the heart of Australian dairyland, and then when we had the chance later to acquire Associated Dairies, we were able to acquire that. We got to a stage of having 40% of the market milk business in Victoria.
On an Australian ranking basis, the largest company in recent years certainly was National Foods, followed by the Dairy Farmers Cooperative based in Sydney, followed by Paul's based in Queensland and Victoria. I think our relationship with the farmers is one of the things that really stands out with QUF. We had direct milk suppliers going back right into the 40s and 50s, but as the supply scene in Queensland changed for milk supply, we've effectively, and by taking over quite a number of cooperatives, got a large group of farmers who supplied every litre of milk they supplied to us. In the late 1990s, when deregulation came, at the year 2000 in fact, we made an agreement with the farmers that we would negotiate prices with them. And it was one of the first agreements ever made in Australia. About 300 of them joined a company called Premium Milk Limited, which had a right to negotiate milk prices with QUF on an annual or 6-monthly basis. We never ever went to arbitration, and it's still in operation.
We were, I think, seen as a very satisfactory investment for an awful lot of Queenslanders, because a very high proportion of our shareholders were Queenslanders and were always. It was seen as a local company to be proud of. We supported the community in lots of ways when there were fundraising, etc. Never very extravagantly, but we were always reliable supporters of the community in that way. I think we're seen as very good employers and a company that as consumers they could rely on the milk coming every day, even in the flood times, that they could rely on the performance. The greatest achievement of all one of the company's real highlights was when we were in the bidding war when National Foods tried to take the company over. We went all around the world to try and find other possible suitors, and in getting the sale through to Parmalat, the great advantage of that was that we maintained the full operations at South Brisbane and the management, marketing, laboratory, technical staff that would have been lost if it had just become a distribution centre for a national company sourced elsewhere. All those people who had built up QUF kept their jobs, and that, I think, was probably his greatest achievement.
The thing that pleased me most about it is that the final result was good for shareholders, certainly, but it was good for the stakeholders. It was good for the farmers, it was good for the employees, and we all had a win.